Well, hello there. I'm David, and this is the Bandai 172 scale Perfect Grade Millennium Falcon. Is this the final hope for the scale modeler's perfect reference? Well, let's take a deep dive and find out how it stacks up against the studio model. Up until about 2013 or 14, I had honestly never really paid much attention to the Bandai brand of plastic model kits, as the company seemed pretty focused on the giant robot genre, a subject I have zero interest in. But when they obtained the Star Wars license, I decided to check them out. Up until that point, any Star Wars model kits that I had built over the years had been either one of the venerable MPC kits, including the old Falcon, or one of the then more recent fine molds offerings. The very first Bandai kit that I ever purchased was this little guy, R5D4. The kit also comes with R2D2, and I haven't built that one yet. I chose R5 because, as far as I know, no scale model of R5 had ever been made before, so it was something different. I'd known since around 1980 that the Millennium Falcon filming models had been created using a whole bunch of old plastic model tanks and cars and trains and whatever else they could find. But I had really never given any thought to specifically what kits were used. If you don't know what kit bashing is, take a look at my previous video, and there's a little demonstration of kit bashing. It was around the time that Bandai was given the license to Star Wars that I learned that Bandai model kits had been used to make the original Star Wars filming models, tanks mostly, a subject they seem to have abandoned over the years.
Most of the Bandai kits used in the Falcon are tanks and armor. But for the aircraft fans in the audience, there's also a Daimler-Benz engine for my Bandai 109 tucked into a mechanical bit.
I was struck by the irony that Bandai would have to pay a licensing fee to produce a model kit of an object that was made using old Bandai model kits. I'm mildly curious to know if the Bandai lawyers brought that point up while they were negotiating the license. When doing the CAD work for this kit, it looks like Bandai went through their archives to measure and 3D scan the original Bandai parts. But did they do that with every kit, even the non-Bandai ones? Honestly, these are the questions that keep me up at night. For the longest time, the most accurate filming model for any Millennium Falcon was this one, the 1/7/2 scale fine molds Millennium Falcon. It's based off the 2-foot Empire Strikes Back Millennium Falcon, that one right there. When their license expired, fine molds made the tooling available to Revell, which reissued this kit as part of their Master Series. Then around 2017, Bandai released their own 1/7/2 scale Millennium Falcon, but this time based on the 4-foot filming model created for Star Wars in 1976, which means it does not have all the modifications the filming model was given prior to filming The Empire Strikes Back, such as the addition of these landing gearboxes. At just $679, it has far fewer parts than the fine mold kit, but it's almost twice the retail price. People tend to gush about the part fit and its accuracy to the filming model, and I can understand why. The level of engineering of this kit is just amazing. And yet, and I know this is blasphemy, but I'm one of those people that does prefer the fine molds kit to the Bandai kit. And so let me explain why. The Bandai kit really does an excellent job of replicating all the greeblies. They get it correct right down to the last rivet. This is the Bandai component for one of the mechanical pits inside the hull. And this is the same component for my studio replica using all the same parts that the filming model used. When superimposed, you can clearly see not only how accurate the Bandai parts are, but how much of the full-size detail they managed to capture. You can also see the relative sizes of the Bandai component compared to the full-size component. But I find too many of the greeblies are already molded into the hull and waistband for my liking. Half of the engineering deck is finished for you out of the box. Whereas the fine mold kit, you pretty much just get an empty shell with almost all the greeblies being separate parts. As a builder, I much prefer the almost blank canvas that fine molds gives you. When it comes to accuracy, the Bandai kit really does an excellent job, but it does get some of the fine details wrong. It's really important to compare the kit details to photos of the actual filming model. Once you start doing detailed comparisons between the Bandai kit and the real filming model, what you will notice right away is that Bandai has made a lot of cleanup to their model kit. It seems to have been more symmetrical than the filming model. Some parts that should be offset are no longer offset. Some parts that should be not cleaned up and not made pretty have been cleaned up and made pretty. And I think this goes a long way to address the fiction of what the Millennium Falcon is, rather than being a true replica to the filming model. The cockpit of the Bandai kit is in no way representative of the cockpit found on the real filming model. It would have been nice if Bandai had provided additional parts allowing for that option, but unless you scratch build it or download my 3D files and print it parts yourself, you're stuck using a representation of the cockpit used on the soundstage with the actors. None of the large 2-foot or 4-foot Falcon studio models had an engine grill, but all of the scale model kits seem to have one. You'll also notice that there are damaged areas on the filming model that didn't make it onto the Bandai kit. The starboard side docking ring and the cockpit tunnel crook are examples. Although, to be fair, as far as I know, the damage on the docking ring has never been included in any commercial kit in any scale. On the positive side, though, some greeblies that have fallen off the filming model over time are found on the kit. This has helped with the identification of some missing parts. As for the surface and mechanical pit greeblies, wrong parts are used in some cases, some parts are used backwards in others, and some greeblies are just omitted, although these are usually ones hidden under other things. Some of the Bandai parts have been slightly resized or they've been simplified in some way, and that's just due to the manufacturing process. In 40 plus years, I have never come across a scale plastic model kit that hasn't had to make concessions for the manufacturing process. So it's really not something I worry about. But if you're using this as a reference, as I am, to build a studio scale model, these are things that you have to keep in consideration. Blindly following the Bandai kit can sometimes lead you down the wrong path. One of the key ways that I use the Bandai kit for building my studio scale model is checking dimensions. As I've already mentioned, some considerations are made to accommodate manufacturing, so not everything is 100% perfect, but it gets you very, very close. To convert the Bandai kit to full studio scale, take a measurement of the kit part and multiply it by 3.51152. You'll see here that the real part from the C-Lab kit lines up very well against the scaled up Bandai part. This can really help with determining sizes and relative position. So this video is a little shorter than my previous ones, but I hope you still found it interesting. For my next video, I'll get back to the actual build. And so thanks again for watching. Until next time.